Okay, guys, I'm joined here with possibly, actually, definitely the most high-profile guest we've had so far. If you're watching this stream, I guarantee you probably know who this is. BlazeTV, slightly offensive Elijah Schaffer. Thank you for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you.
Vince Dow, you're like the only Asian conservative commentator. I mean, Andy No doesn't count because he's a journalist.
Yeah,
but you're like, I think you're the only one.
I think I'm the only one too. But it's really cool because I can just be my own. I'm like so unique, right? So, how have you been holding up in this quarantine? Like, it's been hard for people like me, but I'm sure like for you, like, how has it been just basically being stuck here?
Yeah, well, I don't. Does your audience know where what city you broadcast out of? Are you open about that or no?
I don't really talk about it, but yeah, I'm from LA. Like when people ask, I go,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I figured you're from LA because I'm from Los Angeles too,
Yeah.
broadcasting. So we're probably in a pretty similar situation. But Los Angeles, I mean, hey, this is Gavin Newsom's Leningrad. I mean, this is where are we, right? We have Eric Garcetti, the local Führer. He's he's a bastard, and he's out here trying to act like he's not happy, drunk off of the power that he's pushing on the people here. I'm holding up pretty well. Like AOC said, you can't hold yourself up by your bootstraps, but I'm doing a pretty darn good job at that. And just chilling. My air conditioner broke in my studio, so it's literally 98 degrees in here.
It's so hot today, dude.
Yeah, there's no air conditioning in here. There's no windows because it's a studio, so it's a little hot box. So my biggest struggle is this, and also dealing with the morons who are believing the false numbers that are out there and wearing masks, even when Dr. Anthony Fauci, the globalist, New World Order, absolute scum of the earth individual that Trump should have kicked out and never even listened to, even said himself, you don't need to wear a mask. But yet everyone out here is like a good little sheep, continues to do so.
Yeah, I know they look ridiculous with it. And you know what I can't stand is like Newsom and Garcetti, they're so passive aggressive. Like they talk in this soft, whispery voice like they're saving the world, but they're really just doing the opposite. I mean, you personally, like your life before this, you were traveling all the time, and I'm sure you're still doing a lot of traveling, but like, are you bored now? Like, or do you feel like you're kind of like cooped in now that the world has sort of slowed down? Because you lived a very fast life before this.
Yeah, no, it is. Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm married, newly married. There's nothing boring about going to bed with a beautiful woman at night. It's not boring. It isn't boring. It is nice. So I will say this: having more time to cuddle with a hot woman, plus, and not having to sleep in a weird hotel room with some guy that's my friend. There's no cuddles happening there. So I do like it. But on a professional level, it's like, man, before this quarantine happened, I mean, I had protests lined up. We were covering some stuff with Ann Coulter in Ann Arbor, some stuff with Ben Shapiro in Florida. I had an entire tour set up for speaking in Idaho, in I don't even know where. Oh, I had some stuff in Michigan. I had booking some stuff in New York. We had 4 trips planned already to go with Scott Pressler, do some cleanups, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, you got to sit at home and make content in your studio. But at the same time, we're also going to change the damn algorithms on YouTube so that your videos can't get more views. Freaking Susan Wojcicki, the CEO, was like, oh, by the way, during this time, we're going to suppress non-authoritative sources even more. So you can't find your videos. And so like me, along with most creators, saw like a 70% drop in views during the quarantine, less viewership.
Yeah, me too.
Less creative content you can make, less events going on. And I think the Governor Cuomo of New York even said no more protests allowed for the rest of the year. So it's definitely a tough time to be a non-lying creator.
Yeah, definitely. I want to ask you about the one thing that you did go to, which is an anti-lockdown protest here in LA, and I think you've been to a few of them. But what kind of people have you been meeting, and what was sort of the general feeling at a lot of these protests?
Yeah, well, I think Governor Whitmer of Michigan said specifically that these are like white supremacists holding swastikas. I'm probably making your job hard. You have to probably bleep all this stuff because of the new censorship rules. But, she says this. And I know, I think it was on CNN. They were saying it was dangerous too. Oh, Nancy Pelosi, that's who it was saying that it was dangerous, that President Trump was saying that these were fine people because these are the worst people. They are agitators. Even Sean Hannity on Fox, which I'm sure your audience doesn't watch. I don't watch it either. But big guy said that he disagrees. You should not be, these protesters are wrong with what they're doing with their weapons and going out there. I have a different story. I mean, I talked to these people and they want to work. They were vendors. They were like straight up when I say Mexican vendors, I don't mean like Hispanics. They were straight up like Mexicans because LA, we have a lot of those, like 1 to 2 million. They just wanted to get back to work. They wanted to open up their restaurants, their street vending carts. There were people that just wanted to speak. And there was this moron there that was yelling at everyone. He was like, you guys are all stupid, blah, blah, F you guys. And here's the best part of it. When I asked him, I snuck it in there. I always sneak in my questions because I knew he had a job. Everyone who hates these protesters have a job. And he was like, oh, are you an essential worker? He goes, yeah, I work at a grocery store. Well, yeah, you don't freaking understand why these people are protesting because you have money. You literally have money. These people don't have money. And you know what? I love this. You know who makes less than women? Women, we know make 70% on the dollar to men, wink. But you know who makes less than 70 cents on the dollar is people who don't have a job. So this is the new wage gap. It's the forcibly unemployed versus people who have the privilege to still have their jobs. I hate to call it a privilege, but right now it is.
And did you notice, as you're saying, like racial diversity at these protests, because they're being painted in the media as like these just white lash. It's the white lash, right? But there's actually like people of all colors because, hey, this economy is affecting people of all colors and even like socioeconomic backgrounds.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I have a friend. She's Hispanic. I don't even care about people's race. It's just everyone cares. They just love sucking on the tits of race baiting and all this stuff. It's terrible. But she's a black sister, and she's like, "Oh, this is white people thinking that this is their own civil rights movement." No, we don't.
It's all people.
Yeah, exactly. We don't think it's this isn't civil rights. This is the just let me work. It's just like, I just want to get back to my job. Okay. That's all it is. It's not even about like, it's not this whole constitutional crisis. It's just, what the hell are you doing, tyrants? Let me get back to my job. And here's what I love. Why do they act like only white people want to work? That's a slap in the face of minorities because it's like, oh, only white people care about getting back to work. Minorities want to live off the government and are okay doing so. Not a good narrative.
No, not at all. I want to ask you about these. Because I noticed in this video you ran into who I call the paid protesters. I don't know if it was RevCom or
RevCom.
Trump Pence out now, whoever it was, right? But tell me about this. I've had some interesting exchanges with these people. I know they like basically vilify you, but it was hilarious because they were telling you to put on a mask. They were shaming you for not wearing a mask. Like, oh, if you like, oh, well, look at us, we're so much better than you because we're wearing a mask. And yet they were getting right in your face, not following the 6 feet rule. Tell me about this.
Yeah, well, have you ever stepped on dog poop out in Los Angeles or like human feces? And, it's really gross the way poop is because it smears into the bottom of your shoe and you have those little like grippers, right? It's like rubber grip and it gets in and you have to make the decision there. Like, are my shoes worth it anymore? Because right now they're so disgusting. Like, I don't even know if I want to take the time to clean them off. And that's kind of how I feel with these groups. When I approach them, it's like, do I even want to take the time to try to clean up the filth of their arguments and talk to them and actually try to make them, think well, or do I just throw them away? Do I just get rid of them? And I'm moving out of LA on the 24th. Praise God. I just can't do it anymore, man. I can't do it. It's just, it's gross out here. It's expensive. I don't want to do it. And I decided, this is probably my last interaction with RevCom for at least a few months. I'm still going to fly around the country and go to protests, but they're not on my radar. I just called them out. They're communist trash. Honestly, I try not to get too biased. Someone asked me, what was this video? Was it a protest or were you protesting or were you reporting? And I said, oh, cool, smart guy. I was doing both. Because sometimes, you can act unbiased, but at a certain point when your communists are in the streets calling for a bloody revolution, and I called the guy. I'm like, you're a weak man. And he's like trying to tell me, he's like, you back up. I'm like, what are you going to do about it, man? You got a beer gut and you got arms the size of toothpicks. Like, you'll notice with these RevCom people, communists never look like happy people. They never do. You always notice these protesters, they have a look to them and it's a look of emptiness. And that's why they fight, because they don't realize the problems are on the inside. And if they just fix themselves up, maybe they would do better in life altogether.
And I'm sure they probably threaten you with that lawyer that they always say, if you keep filming us, we're going to file a lawsuit against you. And it's like, no, you don't have any legal authority to do that. And yeah, I've noticed also that like, this is a group that claims they're going to lead a violent revolution in the United States. And yet you look at them, none of them are physically intimidating, like whatsoever. Like these people are like the men are all total betas and soy boys, and actually the women are probably stronger than the men. I mean, how does these communists really expect to lead a Marxist uprising against the bourgeois or the bourgeois, however you freaking pronounce it?
Bourgeoisie.
How do they expect to do that?
The birds are the bourgeoisie,
Yeah.
dude. Everyone's the bourgeoisie. Yeah, you know, they're the scum of the earth, and it's not even just grifty language like, oh, bash commies, get views, or it's like, you know, it gets personal with me with these people because you know, I've gotten into some serious altercations with them. We've had some issues. I've been confronting them for over 2 years now. I've been working hard to expose them, and it's been really, you know, it used to get a lot more violent. I've had a lot of videos taken off YouTube. A lot of things happen, like, I mean, the YouTube started restricting videos with Nick Fuentes. So sometimes I have to take off videos because they are going to mark my account. I've had to do that with Alex Jones too. They made me take off videos with Alex Jones. They made me take off a video with Gavin McGinnis, but I put it back up. I don't care. Once he got exonerated by the FBI, suddenly he was allowed to be back on the thing. But with them, I mean, we got into a major altercation one time and just like crashed their whole event. And it turned into some serious, issues in the streets. The police got involved, and YouTube took it off, of course, like they do. They took off my video confronting Maxine Waters. They took off a lot of videos of mine over the years. I don't really care because I have like hundreds of them. But these people specifically, it's like, dude, I just want people to realize that their protests, they used to get like up to like 2,000 to 3,000 people at their protests back in 2018 when I used to go.
Yeah.
2017 too, they used to get 3,000 people plus, and now they get what, 24? I mean, I think our
10?
videos beat them. I think our videos beat them because, like, your videos, the people realized they were stupid and stopped going to their events because our videos showed how moronic they were.
Yeah. So what do you think we should do, like, going forward about these lockdowns? Like the RevComs, yeah, what they're going to do whatever they want, but there are legitimate people who I guess are sort of scared to go back to work. But on the other hand, there are a lot of people that really don't just want but need to go back to work. What do you think we should do moving forward?
You got to ask yourself why they're scared. You know, Vince, like, why are they scared? It's because of lies, and the specific lies. I mean, Dr. Burr, right? This is good old Dr. Burr, Birx. What a weird name. She specifically said, oh, we just, you know, if someone just had COVID and they died with it, we counted it as a death. We're gonna count the deaths very, very liberally. You have the other health official, I don't remember if it was from Miami or New York, who said, you know, if they died with COVID, we weren't really sure. They didn't really test them. Dr. Fauci said, oh, whatever, you know, here's what we think. We're not really sure who has it. Governor Cuomo said there was 3,600 people who weren't tested. We're just going to add them to the death list. And the reason why is because why? Because the hospitals get between $13,000 and $19,000 if someone dies with COVID or has a COVID at their hospital from FEMA, from the Federal Relief Fund. If they get on a ventilator, they get up to $32,000 to $39,000. They get money. These hospitals get money. And because of the shutdown, because of what Dr. Fauci said, we have up to 90% of hospitals are furloughing staff, which means that the healthcare system is shuddering under its own weight because they can't do elective surgeries. You can't do doctor visits. You can't see an optometrist. They don't have work. They're being laid off. And so the only way for the hospitals to stay in business is to over-report the amount of COVID deaths that they have. This is a money-making survival technique, and I don't blame them for it. Even we saw with Veritas is that, they staged this. There's testing sites around here in LA, and there's nobody at them. Because why? Because not a lot of people are dying in California because the peak already happened back in February, January, or December. We don't know, but they know that deaths were really rising already back then. So we've already flattened the curve a long time ago. And, it's fabrication. The masks don't do anything. They don't do anything. They really don't. People say, oh, it protects you. No, it doesn't protect you. You're confused. Medical grade, certain N95 masks do. But you know what? You're safe. What God gave us is an immune system so that we could learn to develop and to grow it. And, the only reason why they don't have the information is not because the dissenting information isn't there. It's because it gets deleted and censored and shadow banned as conspiracy theory. So all these people who want to be like, I'm smart, I believe in this. Vince, I don't care if it's unpopular with your audience, but people say, well, evolution is a fact. Well, it's the same people who say climate change is a fact. Yeah, climate change is a fact. The climate does change. It is adjusting. Yes, humans do contribute to it, but it's not going to end the world in 12 years, and it's not worth shutting down our economy to fix this climate. We're not damaging it in the way that they're saying. They're alarmists. They go, 2 million people are going to die. Shut it all down. The planet's going to end in 12 years. Shut it all down. Evolution is real. It's really real. We have to realize that we're going to die one day because we evolved. We can stop evolving. It's like, dude, you know that you can't publish a scientific paper unless you support the theories of macrocosmic evolution. It doesn't matter if there's questions and loopholes and things. If you go against that narrative, if you challenge anything about that as the theory, you will not get published. You will not get funding. If you challenge climate change, you will not get published. You will not get funding. And now, if you challenge that this is a deadly disease, you will not get funding. You will not get published. So there's no way to dissent information through peer-reviewed journals, through peer-reviewed articles. There's no way to even put a video online on any platform without it getting taken off. And you know what? The sad part about this is that their targeted campaign to mislead the American people worked. And the worst part about it is it worked against Donald Trump. Donald Trump did use some things to his benefit, but Donald Trump fell for it too. And it makes me sad. Yes, and he wouldn't have went as far as Biden. Yes, he did take preventative steps from Wuhan. But man, you have to realize this is corruption at the deepest level. It is misinformation. And it's the worst part about it all is that people are buying it. And that if you don't buy it, you're being saw as a tinfoil hat, loony person, when in reality, you're just a fact-seeking truth finder,
Yeah, those are some great points you make about the healthcare system. Is it's being reported, like 1 in 4 rural hospitals in America are at risk of going bankrupt. So why wouldn't you just over-report your COVID deaths so that you can get money? Because these hospitals are really struggling because they're literally empty. And that's also a great point you made, because YouTube has been censoring, and I think Google and Facebook, a lot of different sites have been censoring that video of, I don't know their names, but those Bakersfield doctors who are basically saying, we need to open the country now. Mm-hmm. Because this is what we've been seeing. We're on the front lines. It's not misinformation. Mm-hmm. Like, it's literally information, like real information from real medical experts, and YouTube is shutting it down. It's ridiculous. So last question here. What do you have planned this year when this is all over?
Is it over? Do you remember, maybe I don't want to say, oh, you're too young, because I was young too, but like, if you remember after 9/11, America changed. After the 2001 attacks, I mean, we got the development of Department of Homeland Security, which we don't need. We never needed. We had the development of the TSA, which we don't need and we never needed. We had the Patriot Act and the assertion of FISA, spying courts. If your audience doesn't know what that is, these are courts that you can violate constitutional laws by getting orders and actually spy and tap into people. We got massive CIA surveillance pass through. I mean, deep state, large government globalists took advantage of the fear of the people against terrorism, and they essentially strengthened and expanded the government to a place that is impossible to go backwards without war. And it's scary, the power that they have now in these agencies, including the fact of how the CIA isn't supposed to operate domestically, but they now do, because sometimes they can consider acts of terrorism on homegrown soil as foreign affairs. Even the FBI is supposed to handle it. Then we saw the development of Stork and different people and Comey and Brennan, all these people at the FBI who led a faulty investigation against Michael Flynn during the time when everyone got afraid that Trump was a fascist, that he was working with Russia, and they prosecuted people, and they even Obama spied and used the FISA courts to spy on Trump. They dismissed it. But this is a new normal. It affects us to this day. The courts were being used to take down Trump. The corruption that happened after the Patriot Act was used to take down General Michael Flynn. It has real world repercussions. And today, the way that governments have taken this idea of there's even been circuit court rulings that have said that states can, during a pandemic, out of fear of safety, shut down the economy. We now have new court orders that are saying that the government has power to tell you not to work. So the government now is use this fear to push onto us their ability to at any point take control for any reason, which previously was only based on martial law, which again, even in and of itself is unconstitutional. But that being said, with what's next, it's like, I don't know, because I don't know what the new normal is. And SARS-CoV-2, this disease is going to mutate constantly. It's available in all types of animals. It's going to infect you. It's been around forever. I've learned back when I was in school in immunology, we studied SARS vaccines, coronavirus vaccines. We studied coronaviruses and the way that they mutate and attack people and different species. This is not a new thing. They were discovered decades ago. They've been around. They will continue to to be around. And the problem is that, you know, they're already saying, oh, there's a new mutation that's going to come back next year. Hell yeah, there is. So we need herd immunity. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build up my immune system by touching, being around people, doing what I can, staying in the mix, going to protests. I might have even gotten it a couple times. I don't know. I've been coughing a lot, but I'm trying to build up my immune system, and I'm going to keep going to protests. I'm going to cover the stories. I don't care. You know, and this is really crazy. I'm more concerned with you, and I want to end with you, because the way that I've adjusted to the hit with YouTube is I've picked up a lot of advertisers. Like my next podcast, which launches Friday, has 3 different ads in it from advertisers, because we have to pay for the ability to do this full time. And we can't rely on viewership and different things to pay for it, because it just doesn't work. But I'm more concerned about creators like yourself who are still figuring out, how do I, you know, do this full time? Not how do I grift and, you know, just make money, but hey, I care about America. I want to do this full time. I want to study and research and learn and produce and up my production quality and travel and do things that require a ton of money. You know, I can't get into the specifics of how much this show costs, but this show is one of the lowest funded shows that I know of my friends, and it's still an astronomical amount of money and resources just to, you know, just a street video, I could say, you know, can cost up to $1,200 to $1,500 just in travel costs, not to mention labor and different things. Meaning, if you want to cover a story in Seattle, you need thousands of dollars to cover that story. You don't need, you don't need $2 million or like $500,000 like the mainstream media uses, but you do need money. How do we do our stories? How do we report? How do we live if we can't fund these things? How do we move about if they keep squashing us? And so I don't know what they're going to do. And I end with this. That makes me nervous for younger creators. That makes me nervous for people starting out their careers and trying to understand and navigate the waters. How do you do this job without, and get the truth out without being a part of a network, without having some big cash supply, without already being 40 and having a history of savings and stuff? How does young voices and new voices emerge when they've made it impossible for new voices to emerge unless you have, you know, some deal with some brands that sponsor your show, which is hard to do. And I hate it. And I'm nervous for it. And I'm nervous also even for myself, because unless you're Glenn Beck or something and, you know, your ads are worth whatever, you know, like you're worth millions of dollars and you're out there and things don't change. What makes me nervous is the game keeps changing, Vince. The game keeps changing. We try to adjust to be sensitive to their censorship. We try to adjust our wording. We try to bleep things out, talk about things creatively. We change topics and this, and then they change algorithms, and then we adjust, and then they change this, and then a virus comes. The point is they don't want our voices to be heard. They don't want the people that watch your show to be heard. They don't care about you. They want you to go bankrupt. They don't want you to be able to do this as a living. They want the people to stay blind. They want them to stay distracted. And most importantly, they want to make sure that as the older generation of stability dies out, that the new generation has no ability to actually reach the next generation. And I believe they're succeeding at that. And that's what I'm saying. I'm nervous for you. What are you doing next?
You know, I don't know what I'm doing next. Like, it's been hard to grow. Like, I feel it's like just starting out on YouTube, I've had to fight for like every single subscriber, because it never comes from algorithms. I basically have to like promote myself on other social media sites that I do have a following on. And that's basically the only way I can get viewers and subscribers, because it's like impossible to get in the algorithms. And I know this for myself, because anytime you search any political topic on YouTube, you will just find the verified channels, and not just the verified channels, but like the news sites like CNN, NBC, Vox, whatever. It's all through like 4 pages, and you got to go through all that to find like anyone's independent content. But yeah, I'm just going to have to figure it out, I guess, you know, like it's the new normal, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. And I know that the director of product placement for YouTube just came out a few days ago, and he said that he called us basement dwellers and said that he's not going to let people get their news from young kids in the basement that don't give context. And they're going to make sure that they do whatever they can so that our videos don't have more reach, which means that YouTube is not our end goal. You know, I know you're doing really good on TikTok. A lot of you guys are trying hard on there. But you know, I don't know. TikTok content is trash.
We're gonna get censored on there at some point too.
Yeah,
like,
it's run by China. It's run by China.
Yeah.
It's run by China, man. I mean, it's like you guys got to band together and start your own website. I mean, really. You guys got to do that.
I've been thinking about that, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just have to corner some Republican rich donor and say, hey, give me money, I want to invest in this. Like,
Yeah, hit up
you know what I
Turning
mean?
Point,
Yeah.
hit up some of these organizations and say, hey, I want this interest to start this with young creators and create content, Republican content and conservative content and free thinking content. And it's like, go out there, dude. People have cash, bro. There's a lot of money to be made in this. And if you don't do it for the money, then you can invest in pioneering. I mean, like if you look at it, it's like, there is no street reporters. There is no anybody doing this stuff at the Blaze. It wasn't a position. They didn't have it. And I told them, this is what I want to do. And they were weary about it. They didn't know. They went back and forth for 6 months. Oh, I don't know. But it's like, now I'm the first correspondent street reporter person that goes out to protests. And it was a job category that didn't exist at their network. It now does exist, and it probably will expand in the future. So it's like, if you create things for people and use your mind to tell them, there are very wealthy donors who don't know how to influence young people. And if you know how to influence young people for the right things, I would tap into it and use that money rather than just grifting and taking and hoarding it. Do what I'm doing at other people, where you hire staff and you bring on people, and I donate to the right causes and use the money and the things to support freedom of speech and what people are saying. And then don't get into petty fights with people, like, and the kind of people I'm talking about, that all they want to do is tear down other conservatives, and don't waste your time with those people.
Definitely. All right, Elijah, pleasure having you. Welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for coming on.
Vince, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I don't know if anybody will get this far in this broadcast, but if you check me out, go to youtube.com/slightly-offensive. Check me out on Twitter as well. You can check out my name, Elijah Schaffer, or Slightly Offensive on Instagram. I'm not really technically on TikTok because I don't get it. And like, I don't get it. I don't get, like, I don't get
I'm telling you,
content.
hey, just post your best protest clips on there. You'll get instant views. People love those things on TikTok.
All right, we'll try it.
Yeah. Just
maybe I send some to you. I'm gonna send a clip to you. You post it on yours and see how it does.
Okay, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, man.
All right, you too.